Hey, my people. Hey, guys. Let's do some makeup for Mother's Day. Not a lot, though, because we're going to this like winery place, and it's going to be hot. We're taking our moms, me and my husband, and it's going to be warm out there. So let me go get on my workout pants or shorts because they're cooler, and they won't make me so hot out in the sweaty, hot heat, right? Sorry. Oh, I don't flash all you guys, so hold on. Weep. Okay. Ooh, yeah, that feels better already. And I think, yeah, that has green on it, so it'll match. Okay, good. Or teal or whatever that color is. Okay. Good morning. Let's do some makeup. Y'all want to do some makeup for Mother's Day? Okay, just a little bit, like I said. Because look how clear my skin is and everything. I don't want to go out there and like be sweating and my skin break out, you know, from it. So we'll see what we can work up. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. I hope you guys are all spending time with your families. If you are a mom or if you have a mom. If not, you're spending time with friends. You know, and just spending the time together. The boys went and got donuts and coffee for me. And Neil folded all the laundry for me, which was a lot of laundry. Okay. So, yeah. Ooh. That's a lot of moisturizer. I think I put a little bit too much moisturizer on my face, so we're going to have to let that kind of sink in. I just want to put on a little bit of concealer. That's right, Mother's Day is every day, but you know how, you know what it is. Okay. Let's put on a little bit of mascara and a little bit of eyebrow medicine. Oh, that's dead. Use that one up. Eyebrows. Where are my eyebrows at? Damn it. There they are. Happy Mother's Day, you guys. Okay. So yesterday I told a story about the time I went into a 7-day coma when I was in active addiction. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys the story of the time where I was so high in my active addiction and struggling so much, and me and my husband had just started dating, okay? That I actually drove me and my husband into a brick wall and almost killed him. Ready? Let's do it. Okay. So the year was 2012 when I met my husband. So I had already been in active addiction since about 1997. So I was a fucking experienced junkie, if you know what I'm saying. So when I met my husband, we were both addicted to opioids, methamphetamine, cocaine, and benzos. We just loved to mix our drugs. We mixed them all ways to Sunday. Okay? Well, one thing that we would normally do on a regular day is we would wake up every morning, normally in withdrawal, if we weren't on meth, and we would have to go and find a way to get money if we didn't get paid or didn't have our jobs, right? So we would wake up in the morning. Let me sit you guys over here so I can sit down and do my eyebrows. We would wake up in the morning and we would devise a plan of how we was going to hustle our money together that day, okay? And that usually consisted of me stealing, boosting, or my husband and I giving our families the third degree, his mom and dad, and asking for money or something like that. This particular day, we had like money on us because he was working And I think I was waiting tables still at this place called Cajun's Wharf. So we had money and we woke up and we went over to our dealer's house. Now, our dealer, he was Asian, and he asked us to call him Chinaman. So that's what we called him, Chinaman. So it's not anything like racist or anything like that. It's just what he asked us to call him. That's what he was labeled at in our phone, everything. So we woke up that morning and we drove down to Chinaman's house, which is literally like 6 minutes from our house. So close, okay? And we bought a bunch of Roxy's and a bunch of bars and a bunch of Klonopin. One thing about me and my husband when we first got together, we could not wait to use substances until we got home. We're so stupid. Stupid. So we sat there at their house, and I think we snorted the Roxy's and took a bunch of Xanax, which was like something that we did all the time. So why was this time any different, right? So we got in the car, and at the time we were driving a rental car because when we were driving down the road in my husband's Xterra, my husband rear-ended somebody on 12th Street. And 12th Street is where we would buy crack at. So when he rear-ended these people, I thought I had warrants. So a bitch bailed and jumped out and ran down the street to our crack dealer's house. So we were driving a rent-a-car because we had already had one accident like 2 weeks prior to that, or a week prior to that. So stupid. So I'm laughing because of how stupid we were, so please don't get it twisted. So we get in the car, in the rental car, and I'm driving. I decide I'm driving, which, I mean, I did it all the time. I drove all the time. I guess these bars were fresh this day, you guys, because I got in the car to drive, and the next thing I know, we were sitting in the parking lot at the, what's it called? Place where you buy chicken. Chick-fil-A. We're sitting in the Chick-fil-A parking lot, and the next thing I know, I look over to the right of me to look at my husband, and he is having a damn seizure. Something's happening. He's dying over there. He is not conscious, okay? Something bad's happening. So I freaked out. I just got all the food in my hands. I put it down in the back seat, and I literally turned right out of Chick-fil-A and pulled into our apartment building because it was right beside Chick-fil-A. When I pulled into the apartment building parking lot, I pulled my husband out and laid him on the ground beside the car because I didn't know what to do, you know? And I was like, help, help, you know? And so these guys that lived in the apartments we lived in came over, and I was like, fuck it, put him back in the car. I'm just going to take him across the street to the emergency room, because there was an emergency room right across the interstate. Okay? So they put him back in the car, and bitch, I jumped in my car. Well, that's the last thing I remember. Because a bitch drove past one emergency room, St. Vincent's. Then I drove past the other emergency room, UAMS, all the way down to 3rd Street off Markham, and crashed us into a damn brick wall. So now I'm standing outside of this brand new Nissan Maxima that we are renting. It's a rental car, right? And the police get called, the ambulance shows up, I have blood coming out of my nose, Neil's dying, and they put us both in the ambulance and they rush us to the emergency room. I didn't get any charges for wrecking the car, nothing. No public intox, nothing, okay? They put Neil in the hospital, and they're like having to intubate him because I was unconscious when we got to the hospital. I guess I fucking had something happen to me in the ambulance. I don't really remember, you guys, that part. But Neil was not conscious at all the whole time. Okay? It was really scary. And so they had to give him a Narcan because they didn't know if he was overdosing. They didn't know what was going on, right? So they gave him the Narcan, and that sent him into automatic withdrawals. And so his body is like flailing all over the place. And so that's when they intubated him. He couldn't even breathe on his own, you guys. Okay, like my husband almost killed my boyfriend. Okay, he couldn't breathe on his own. They had to put this huge needle into his thigh right by his groin. Like, it was really scary. Okay, and so the next morning when I woke up, I'm looking around and I'm trying to find where Neil's at, and I don't know where he's at, but his parents are there. And they always wanted to blame stuff on me, like I fucking made their kid be a drug addict or something, you know? That's just how Neil's parents were. And so they're there, and they're mad at me, and I'm telling them, like, it was an accident. Neil had a seizure. I don't know what happened. Like, I really don't know. He was having a seizure, though. And so they tell me that he's in ICU, that he can't even talk, that they have the tubes down his throat. Of course, his mom takes a picture of him. And shows it to me, you know, and I'm crying. I think I have killed Neil. You know, I thank God every single day that I didn't kill him, because then I wouldn't have Nate, you know, and we wouldn't be work. If I had killed Neil, I probably would have never gotten sober. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that happened during my active addiction that could have really changed the trajectory of my life. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, if I had killed their son that day, I have no doubt in my mind that his parents would have tried to prosecute me to the farthest extent of the law. I have no doubt in my mind. Okay? I have no doubt in my mind. I would probably be in prison still to this day because of it. But Neil didn't die. He's sitting on the bed right over there behind me. He's watching TV right now. So they woke him up out of the coma. Well, he woke up out of the coma on his own, and he had that thing in his mouth, and so he was like choking on it. And so they came over there and they pulled the intubation out of his throat, and he started talking. And that's when his parents came back up to my room and said, you know, he's okay. So I wrote him a note, you know, to let him know, I love you, I'm so sorry, like everything. We were both like tripping because we couldn't see each other. I couldn't go to him. He couldn't come to me. And so I wrote him a note letting him know how much I loved him. And he wrote a note back to me. It was so sweet, but so fucked up at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? So, anyways, later on that evening, they actually let us go. Neil was healthy enough to leave, and he was okay. You know, the only thing that they could figure out was that he did have a seizure. You know, he had a seizure from taking all the benzos and opiates. Something didn't interact right. We were also on methadone. Like, we were on a lot of different drugs. And so whenever the insurance was trying to, like, you know, fuck with Neil's parents' insurance, they had to tell the insurance that Neil had a seizure. And so what that caused is him not being able to really drive on his own without somebody being in the car with him. There was like this whole issue with insurance and stuff like that. It was a really fucked up situation. He almost, you know, lost the ability to drive forever. But it was just like a really one-off situation. Now, I'll tell you something that happened years later after we got sober. And to this day, my husband swears he did not relapse. I ask him once a year, every year, are you ever going to tell me the truth about what really happened when you fell asleep in the truck that one day? Because it was during his sober time, right? So he's driving home from work one evening, and he's literally in our neighborhood, right? And so he's in our neighborhood, and then the next thing I get a phone call from him, and he's like, I just crashed my truck into the big, like, this big tree thing in our neighborhood, right? He's like, he goes, I don't know what happened. I just woke up and I was crashed into the tree. Like, when I tell y'all, he was so close to our house, I could walk down the road to him. Okay? And so I'm like, motherfucker, quit lying to me. Quit fucking lying to me. You took something and fell asleep at the wheel. That's what I thought, you know? He's like, Nicole, I swear to God, I did not take anything. I don't know what happened. I just woke up and was crashed. And those are the two times my husband has had these like weird, like almost like seizure-ish. The one was a real seizure though, because he was like, you know what I mean? And then, car accidents happen, but one of the car accidents was my fault, not his. Oh yeah, he also had another seizure another time. So 3 seizures, okay? 3 seizures. He had another seizure one time when we were living in the apartments, the ones where I told y'all I pulled him out of the car and put him on the ground. We were living in those apartments, and we were upstairs, and he had taken a whole bottle of Tramadol. Thank you, Brittany. Don't ever take Tramadol like that, y'all, okay? It will give you a seizure. It's known to do that. So he took a bunch of Tramadol, and the next thing you know, he was standing straight up, and he's standing straight up, and his hands went like this, and then his wrist locked in like that, and he went straight up, timber, boom, on the bed, like he didn't bend his legs, nothing, and he was like, what does my dumb ass do? Guess what my dumb ass does? I take my middle finger, I got nails that I just got done, and I stick it in his mouth to try to press his tongue down because I thought he was going to bite his tongue off. This motherfucker bites my fingernail smooth off. The whole fucking nail comes off, okay? Part of my real nail, everything. Never stick your fucking hands inside somebody's mouth who's having a fucking seizure. Get their wallet and have them bite down on that, okay? But I was scared. I didn't know what to do. So he sees it, and I stick my finger in his mouth. He bites it off, and I'm going, help! Help! I have our door wide open, okay? It was an emergency. And we lived in a high-rise where there's, like, elevators and stuff, and people could hear, you know? My next-door neighbor was a crackhead. We were best friends. Me and this guy, an old man named Joe. He was, like, 50 years old. We did everything together. He's my next-door neighbor, right? So I call Crackhead Joe over. Crackhead Joe calls 911, and the ambulance comes. And they're like, yeah, he's definitely having a seizure. When Neil comes to, he doesn't know what month we're in. He doesn't know the day of the week. He doesn't know what time it is. Nothing. When I tell you guys, it was the scariest thing that ever happened to me. Now, the reason why he had that seizure, Neil had ran out of his methadone. We went to the doctor to get help because he was going through withdrawal, and he was prescribed. How many milligrams of methadone, Neil, were you prescribed? Oh, over 120 milligrams a day. 10 methadone, 10 pills a day. That's 100 milligrams.
It was 40 milligrams 3 times a day, so
120 milligrams, 40 milligrams 3 times a day. And he got the pills. So we went to the hospital to get help. And this is why it's so important for people to have access to harm reduction, have access to Suboxone, have everything. We went to the hospital for help, and they didn't want to help us. And so they gave him Tramadol. And being the drug addict that he was, he's thinking, okay, how the fuck is Tramadol going to help me? I'm coming off 120 milligrams of methadone. So he takes damn near the whole bottle. I think I took like 1 or 2. I knew better, though. I hated Tramadol. I had fucked with that shit back in the day because I used to clean doctor's offices, and they used to have free samples of it in their drawer, so I would steal them. Stupid! Anyway, I laugh out of embarrassment, just so y'all know I'm not proud of it. Okay? It's embarrassing. So, dumb ass Nicole. So, anyway, after he came out of that coma, or that seizure, the doctor actually wrote him a prescription at the emergency room, you guys, for hydrocodone. That doctor actually sent him home with hydros until he could get into the doctor, which I think that was a Saturday, so we saw the doctor on Monday. And you guys got to understand something. The doctor that my husband was seeing was basically like a pill doctor. She shouldn't have been giving him that many methadone pills in a prescription. You know, like, she didn't care about him. If she did, she wouldn't have done it like that. She would have had him on the clinic or something so he could be more supervised, you know? But those are the 3. That's the one time I almost killed my husband because I crashed the car. And those are the other 2 times that he had seizures. One thing about my husband is that I would always get so mad at him because I'd be like, this motherfucker always got to ruin my high. Because, yeah, I would get high, you guys, and I would be out of my mind, like, hallucinating and shit. But Neil would literally have, like, medical emergencies. Fuck. And you know, that's the main way you ruin somebody's highs, when you're fucking having to call 911 and shit. You know, I wouldn't have medical emergencies. I'd just be walking around talking to people that weren't really there. I'd be accusing Neil of having women underneath the covers in the bed while we're sleeping. Like, literally, I would think that he had people underneath the covers giving him head. There was nobody there but me and my husband, you guys. Nobody. Okay. And the reason why I tell you guys these crazy stories is because, listen, if I can get better and I can have a successful life and I can be a mom and I can have full custody of my son back, I just paid my car off. I just got the title to my car in the mail a week ago. If I can do all that, and I used to act like that, then you can do it too. Thank you, baby. You can do it too. And you guys don't have to send me gifts. I appreciate it, but please don't feel obligated to do that, because I have a full-time job and everything. Y'all don't have to do that, okay? But I appreciate it, but you don't have to. And I can take care of my dog. See this dog right here? This is Paco. Paco is my co-host, okay? He's in all my YouTube videos, okay? Anytime that I do a YouTube channel video, he's in the background doing the co-hosting with me, okay? This dog right here, he was staying in my sister's house where there was no running water, there was no electricity, because my sister had fallen back into her active addiction. And I had just gotten sober. I didn't even have a year. And she called and said, can you please come and get Paco, because I'm in a shooting gallery. Basically, she had turned her nice ass apartment like mine into a shooting gallery. Okay? And so I rescued Paco. His name is Paco Pludre Juarez Garcia Mendez Menudo. I'm just his name is Paco Pludre. Right, Paco? And he's my little man's. Huh. He's my little man. So, this dog right here helped me stay sober when I first got sober. He went and did everything with me. Okay, so I'm just telling you guys these stories because I don't think a lot of people know all the things that I went through when I was in active addiction. All the things that I put my husband and I through because I was so irresponsible. And I was so irresponsible, and all I thought about was getting high all the time, that I lost custody of my son. And I had to fight to get him back. I had drugs in my system when I was pregnant, like horrible things. And so I just kind of want to shed some light on the fact that, you can be the worst off in your addiction and end up being the best person in recovery. And today I help other people get their certifications in peer support. I help other people get their recovery coaching certifications. I help other people get signed up to get their counseling certifications. I help people get connected with Matt Services. I help people go through withdrawal. I just had a girl message me today. She's wanting to get off methadone, but get onto Suboxone and then get onto Sublocade. So she's going to call me and message me when she starts her withdrawal process, and I'm going to cheer her on through through it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be there to support her while she's going through her withdrawal so she doesn't go back to drugs. And people text me all the time, and I'd be there to call them and support them and stuff. And I could be in a whole nother state, but you will know I will support you through it. All you gotta do is reach out. Nikki, I got mom guilt too, girl, so I understand. I really do. And that's the hardest thing. I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself. I know I've talked about that many, many, many times. Hey, girl. Hey, Ash. And I saw somebody ask me if I go to meetings. So whenever I first got sober, you guys, that's how I got sober, is through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. For those of you guys that don't know. The first 4.5 years of my sobriety were all 12-step. And then after 4.5 years of being in Alcoholics Anonymous, I just started believing more things differently than what that program teaches. Not so much the support of the program or the steps. I love the steps. I think they're amazing. But I'm more open-minded to more kinds of recovery. I don't believe abstinence is the only kind of recovery. You know what I mean? So I also, since I have a lot of experience with the 12 steps, taking other people through the 12 steps, I figured, you know what? I need to do some other programs, because that way anybody that I help, I have experience with all these programs. So I worked the Mara 12 steps. I was in Mara. I'm still in Mara. I love Mara. I'll keep going back to Mara for the rest of my life probably. But I've done the Mara 12 steps. I've chaired meetings for Mara. I've done smart recovery. I've done refuge recovery. I've done self-recovery. Like, I just try to get like as much experience as I can with all kinds of different recovery programs. So that way when people reach out to me, like, I can share my experience with them about how those programs help me. In the beginning of my sobriety, I needed to have the stability and the strictness of what Alcoholics Anonymous taught me. Because Alcoholics Anonymous